Welcome. It's Sydney O'Sullivan with Social Superstar Secrets and Millionaires Academy. And welcome, Sharon Pearson.
Thank you so much. Really looking forward to it.
I am so excited that we got to have Sharon on because I interviewed her for my previous project, which some of you may have already read the book. It is the Social Marketing Superstars. And I was blown away by the quality of Sharon's knowledge of marketing and the things that really make the difference for entrepreneurs. So let me tell you a little bit about Sharon, because I definitely recommend that you do read the chapter in the book. She has an incredible story. In 2004, Sharon Pearson started the Coaching Institute as a way to assist future coaches to receive the level of training they need to be successful in a competitive marketplace. Since a first student intake of just 9 students, the Coaching Institute has gone on to train over 2,500 students, as well as the successful Business Mastermind Group for small business owners. In just 8 years, the Coaching Institute has become the first choice for coach training in Australia, offering the Diploma of Life Coaching, NLP Practitioner Certification, NLP Master Practitioner Certification, NLP Trainers Training Certification, Hypnosis Training, EDISC, Values Pendulum, and Small Business Marketing Training. So you have a very wide range now of courses. I see that it's growing all the time.
Yeah, it seems to be growing a lot, and we're adding more. We're about to start another school, and yeah, we're having lots of fun.
Wow. The Coaching Institute helps participants discover their potential through innovative products like Mastermind, a leadership, marketing, and business skills program which helps business owners accelerate growth through practical marketing tools and experience exponential results. The Coaching Institute was selected as the winner of the 2006 and the 2010 Telstra Business Awards, winning the Victorian Micro Business Category and Business Women's Award. And for those that live in Australia, the Telstra Business Awards are our most coveted awards here in Australia. A specialist speaker in the area of leadership, business growth, and wealth creation, Sharon has personally worked with high-profile entrepreneurs and added thousands of dollars to their bottom line through her relationship-based marketing strategies. She was the resident life coach on Channel 10's David and Kim. Her role is founder and owner of the Coaching Institute and founder and owner of the newly established Executive Coaching Academy. She is the author of 3 books. Her most recent, Simple Strategies for Business Success, is available on Kindle and is a bestseller. So I'm really
You
thrilled.
read so beautifully.
Thank you.
Oh, it's just divine.
We like to have this because we also, give people audios once we record this. And I don't know if you're like me, but I love to listen to this stuff over and over in the car because then you can really integrate the learning.
Yes.
So
some CDs I've gone back to, it's a set of 19 CDs I re-listened to over 30 times because of that, because there's always new distinctions to be got. And I think masters have to be students first, second, and third. I think that's vital if we're going to be wonderful at what we do, invest in what we do. The investment has to be in who we become. So I think you're spot on.
Is there anything that you'd like to recommend? Because I know that when I interviewed you before, a couple of books came up that you mentioned, and one of them was Robert Cialdini, and I actually went out and bought the book, loved it, The Psychology of Influence. My daughter got my daughter to read it, who's just started university. She loved the book, and I highly recommend that to anyone who wants to understand the behavior of people and is in any kind of selling at all, or even wants to know why they keep getting sold to. It's a brilliant book, so thank you for recommending that.
Yeah. The other one I recommend is Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, Ariely, and definitely The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. Wonderful book. What else do I recommend? I recommend Delivering Happiness by the Zappos guy, Tony Shea. Highly recommend it. And all those books carry a flavor of how to be outstanding in a rapidly changing community. It's not even an economy anymore that it's not a market we're dealing with, it's not an economy we're dealing with, it's a community we're dealing with. So up until 5 years ago or a little bit longer, we were all isolated geographically, in any way we were isolated, and the message was controlled by the companies. Right now, today, that is not the case. The message is controlled by the consumer. And the consumer can unite and relate and communicate with each other in real time and make buying decisions in real time. And because of that, the community now determines how business is going to be done. And that's only become stronger and stronger and stronger, Cindy. That is the way it's going to be. So any book that can help a business owner, or any experience you can have as a business owner that can immerse you in understanding what that means in terms of how the world's going to be shaped and in terms of how you must stay relevant to this changing world, do that. So I've reread all of those books several times as I've got, I'm not saying great at it at all, but as I got better at it, I revisit the books because of the new distinctions they give me and the new and deeper sense of understanding about what it means to be doing business in today's community and in the community we're going to have in 5 years' time. This has only just begun, Sydney, so this is vital for us to stay relevant as business owners.
Yeah, I think what I'm finding, because I went to, what inspired me to write my last book was I went to a mastermind with Jack Welch, you know, who built GE into a $400 billion business. And I got to meet some of the top CEOs from around the world. And what I thought was really interesting was that these were people who were running monolithic-sized businesses, and they were dealing with the same shift as far as how do you get the message out to your market that the small businesses were dealing with that I, you know, work with all the time. And it really struck me how big this change is, not just for the small business person who used to do their advertising in the yellow pages, but even for the really big media and the big corporations. I saw a guy from the Silicon Valley talking recently about how important reputation management has become, which I thought was really interesting because now they can't control what's out there. The communication is basically, it's gone all viral. It's all community-based, as you say. I totally agree with you on that.
And it is, I actually don't think anymore brand is logo or brand is design or brand is colors or look. I think brand is our community. Brand is our culture. Our culture is our brand. How we ride is our brand. How we approach our clients, deal with our clients, serve our clients. All of it is actually the brand now. It's real-time interaction and experience of us and decisions made because of it. That's a whole new world. So corporations that are still staying dry and indifferent and are monoliths of what they do, you can see on Facebook and Twitter and through every other social medium what the community thinks about that. Nobody likes it. They want a real experience. They want a connection. They want something that's more meaningful than a transaction. So heads up to everybody, regardless of the size of the business. The future of business is determined by the consumer. And I think that's incredible, truly incredible.
Now, you've actually taken your business for a long way in a very short amount of time. We didn't mention numbers so far in this presentation. Are you going to talk about any of the incredible numbers that you've been sort of in growth? Like, I noticed just from the last time I interviewed you, you've put a lot more students through your training. And obviously, and now you're talking about opening a new school. So can you tell us about, I mean, obviously you're doing it right. And that's why I really wanted you to be a part of this program. So for people who haven't met Sharon before, she is the one to talk to about wealth. She's really figured out how to put the wealth in your business. And then, in fact, isn't that a big part of what you teach your students?
It's just really interesting how many times you think you can get away from a conversation about the mindset and you end up full circle right back talking about mindset. I run a mastermind program. It's around $30,000 per year to participate in it, to have access to me. I'm $30,000 a day to hire if you hire me for 5 days. I'm $50,000 a day for a single day. And that day is inevitably spent on mindset. And someone might be thinking, what could you talk about that's worth that kind of money? But all of the return on investment is the return on investment that you make in you to understand and have awareness and to raise your standards around what it means to create wealth. I think I've got it on the slide here. I can't remember if I created it or not, but I'll talk about it. Abundance is abundance in all areas. It's not just abundance in all areas but not money. It's not just abundance in all areas but lack of clients. you can't say you've got an abundant mindset and not have abundance in all areas. Abundance is abundance is abundance. And to me, I was doing Mastermind yesterday. We were doing the advanced day yesterday, the think tank day, and 3 out of 5 people brought the problem to the table thinking they knew what the problem was, and it was in terms of tactics and what they had to do. And all 3 realized that it wasn't what they had to do, it was how they had to think about what they were going to do. How we think, how we organize our thoughts, how we construct thoughts, how we interpret those thoughts is determining our abundance. And by abundance, in this case, in terms of business, I mean abundance of clients, abundance of opportunities to serve the clients, abundance of opportunities to add value, and all of that will lead to wealth in terms of money in the bank. One of the clients, I won't go into details because the content is their business. One of the clients has had the same level of turnover in their business for years, and they don't understand why. They think it's their staff, it's the market, it's the economy. But just with one conversation, it became so clear that what was holding the business back was what was holding him back. And I see that, Sydney, every single day, that we can't escape ourselves, that we can't move somewhere to have a better result.
Can I ask you, Sharon, when you realize this, like I've noticed that it's easier for someone else to see it from the outside in. How do you help them have that breakthrough? That, you know, it's much easier when you're working on someone else's business to see where they're stuck. But for those of us who are stuck, what's the trick to getting out of that rut?
So the first rule of business growth is the business can't grow if you don't. So if the business isn't growing, you're not growing. That's it. And to have self-awareness and the courage to face that, or the ability to face that, or whatever you need to find within you to face that, the self-awareness is if your business is stuck, it's because you're stuck. It's not the business, it's not the economy, it's not the clients, it's not anything, it's you. The way to shift it is not a soundbite. And I probably could go for 7 days on that, answering that question. But to try and do it some justice, firstly, is your vision big enough, compelling enough, and large enough to overcome all obstacles? So my very first vision, which is really, you know, I kind of did it tongue-in-cheek, but kind of meant it. The very first vision when I became a coach, I had no clients, had no idea how to make it work. I was a crime writer who'd never had a book published in 12 years. I was really stuck, and this is my vision. And, you know, I kind of laughed at it and thought, yeah, sure, Sharon, to be the second best coach in the world.
Wow.
And why the second? Because I wanted someone to be able to coach me. I wanted Tony Robbins, who I just thought was just a phenomenal coach and is. I thought you've got to have someone to coach you, so I figured Tony Robbins would coach me. And the other great thing about that was I know he's $1 million a year as a coach, so I figured if I could hire Tony Robbins, then I must be doing okay. So my vision kind of made me laugh because how audacious was I with no clients?
I love it. That is
Who do you think you are?
That's ballsy.
Well, it's got to be audacious. And, you know, was the vision big enough to overcome any problems I was going to encounter or setbacks? Of course. I was on this mission to become the second best coach in the world. So really anything that you're going to face some really big obstacles and some really big challenges if that's the audaciousness of your vision. So the vision's got to be so compelling that just imagine your vision as a car and you're going to hit blocks on the road, the lumps on the road that you hit to slow you down. If your chassis sits low, so if your vision's really low, you're going to hit every single bump and you're going to get worn out and scraped and damaged and eventually you're going to break down. But if your vision's really large and audacious and carries you, just imagine the chassis sitting really high and you're just going to fly over some of the smaller bumps. You are going to hit some of the bigger ones, but the vision's going to be big enough to get you over that. So Tony Robbins told me that 9 years ago, and, you know, I'm not arguing with some really good advice. That would be just completely arrogant and ignorant, and it's good advice. So take that advice. Have a vision that's so big it compels you and drives you and lifts you over what many people consider large problems. Most people in the Western world, Cindy, do not have large problems. We have dry cleaning is late kind of problems. We need a real good dose of perspective here of what about a really big problem is. So I just created visions that's so big and audacious and, Sharon, what are you thinking? That I'm forced always to be looking up, going, well, this is the vision, so this is obviously the problem you have to overcome to achieve the vision. The second thing is to realize that the roadblocks, the stumbling blocks, the obstacles, the problems, whatever you want to call them and reframe them to be to feel better about it, they're the stepping stones to you becoming who you're going to become so you can realize the vision. You don't get to sit at the top of the mountain going, man, look at me, I've achieved so much, unless you've overcome so much.
Yes.
There is not one person on the planet that we can name in this call or in any other conversation that arrives somewhere that inspires us and aspires us to lift our game that did not overcome more than we are prepared to. That is the reality. Mother Teresa, named Oprah, Nelson Mandela, anybody we think about when we think they're just world-class in terms of the standards and the inspiration and the aspiration. And then we think about, well, tell me about their story. And their stories are unbelievably full of overcoming problems, obstacles, challenges, setbacks. Just, Tony Robbins lost everything once and nearly lost everything a second time. The story behind the success. Let's never forget what it took for them to become who they became and how they could become a source of inspiration. It wasn't rocking up saying, I hope the going's easy. It was doing the hard stuff that most people won't do, can't do, and won't even see they need to do. The obstacle is not the end of the journey. The obstacle is the reason for the journey so you can become who you're meant to be so you can lead your community. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, I love it. You're so right. I am agreeing with everything because I went through this myself. I don't know if you know my story, but I built my wealth up to about $10 million and all through hard work, really, building up businesses and, getting on a jackhammer when I had to and all those things that you do when you're young.
Yeah.
And and then I lost a lot of it because I actually think what happens is you get to a point where you just haven't had the kind of training. When you start making that kind of money, my experience is I've met a lot of people who get to about 5 to 8 million and they lose the lot because they just haven't been trained, to manage that amount of money. And the people that were advising me, well, they're just a higher level, slicker kind of con men, so
wow.
That's how I look at it. I mean, that's kind of victim language, which I don't really like to use. But, I was very upset at the time, and then I thought, okay, so how am I going to rebuild? And this is all part of that project. I wanted to learn how to do it faster, smarter, and tap into the big growth areas, and this is certainly one of them. So, and I totally agree with you now. Now that I got out of that victim, thinking, and I started thinking, well, okay, that was all good. It was all experience. And all those dollars were just virtual zeros anyway, and it's really just a big challenge to learn how to make it and then manage it. It's just learning all the time.
Well, it's all you've got is got a bigger numbers around a challenge. That's all it is. Last year, I lost more millions than that with one business that we were doing. It's not even a blip on the radar because of the vision and the journey that I'm on. The reason for the journey was never the bank account. My gosh, that's not the point of this. It can't be the point of this to arrive at our graves, drowning in our dollars. How meaningless. So that's just another example of what a challenge can be. The setback could be, it hits your bank account, but it's still just a setback. And the setback can't define us. It's what we do with it that's going to matter. And what you're doing is rebuilding, finding a different way to do it. That's an inspirational story.
Yeah,
you were never going to get to the top of your mountain just because you wanted to get to the top of the mountain. If wanting could make it so, everyone would be sitting on top of the mountain going, man, isn't life grand? It just isn't going to cut it. Yeah. Wanting it is not going to get it. Anyway.
No, I completely agree with you. And once I got, got back on the, found my grand vision again. And in fact, for me, that was definitely the key. And in fact, what I've been learning as I've been building these fantastic, interview series is that I wasn't even aiming high enough. Aim big. I totally agree with you. You when I first invited you, asked you if I could interview you, everyone said, no, you'll never get it. And I just kept asking, and you actually said yes, and it was fantastic because I learned so much. And, just, it's been, and I don't worry now about asking people that are really, I asked Gary Vaynerchuk if he would be in it, and I'm in a constant dialogue back and forth with his assistant, and you never know, I might crack it.
Yes. Yeah.
I will, Craig.
I think most people who've had a journey with setbacks, and if you've got a story worth telling, you've probably got a bunch of setbacks. So, yep, a lot of people find my story worth listening to, and many people, it's wonderful, and what a privilege they say it's inspirational and inspired them to take some action in terms of creating their own personal vision, which is great. But the story is uninspirational because of the setbacks it contains. So I think people who approach who've got that kind of story are actually a lot more approachable than people give them credit for, because, man, I remember where I was, and I know what it took to get some momentum going, and I am really appreciative of every single mentor who put out their hand when they didn't need to and said, yep, I'll help you out. So I actually think many people with a story worth telling are actually very, very approachable, because we didn't get here alone. How hilarious and arrogant would that be? The only reason I'm standing here with any level of success in business is because of everybody who put a hand out for me. So Gary, I'm sure, will say yes. You've got his email address, haven't you?
Well, have you?
Yeah, I do. I'll give you his email.
All right, we'll talk. But I totally agree with you.
Have you got John Assaraf as well?
No, I mean, that's the thing.
I'll see if I can hook you up. You should talk to him as well. He's wonderful.
And I think with this particular project, what I really wanted to focus on were people who were doing the social media thing very well. But I really, you do it very well, and you're going to talk about that, I know. But I really wanted to, people were asking me specific questions about social media. And what I really liked about involving you with it is that you not only use social media very, very well with your community, but you also have this in-depth knowledge of how to put the money in the business. And that was the problem that we were trying to solve for a lot of people, and we hope people will get benefit out of from listening to this interview series, is being able to really come away with a whole bunch of strategies that will help them monetize and take their businesses to a whole new level. So please keep going, because I know that you have a lot of good stuff.
I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to do that. I'm just not going to do a lot of tactics. I'm going to do much more of the mindset and the strategic thinking behind it.
Wonderful.
And our approach to it, because I think you can get tactics everywhere, Cindy. I really do. I think everyone's got.
And we'll be giving plenty of those. We'll be giving plenty of those.
Sure.
So that's why I wanted you to share with us the stuff that we need to have our personal breakthroughs. Is that kind of where you're going to be? Well, I know from when I previously interviewed you. It's all about
how we feel and think and care for our communities. And I'm going to show a whole bunch of different ways to make that real. And it really does come down to the mindset. The first thing in terms of overview of what we're going to be looking at, being good in social media is not the point. It can't be the point. That's just a tactic. The point's got to be that you're good at adding value to other people's experiences. And then wherever you go, on whatever the medium, be it social media or email marketing or your website or your events or just conversations, how you interact with the community, wherever you take it, you take this as your way of doing what you do. So to me, it's the relationships before business and have relationships after business. I would rather have a relationship than I would have a transaction, because the relationships lead to people talking about us, communicating about us, getting excited about us, and the transaction tends to take care of itself. So being good in social media isn't a tactic. It's not, oh, I've got lots of followers and look at the numbers. Being great in social media is being great at understanding your community, what they want more than anything, and how to provide outstanding value consistently so that they can trust you. So that's my thinking. I don't want to be good at social media. I really don't. I want to be seen as being phenomenal in terms of providing great value in any medium I go into, and social media just happens to be one of them that we're pretty good at. So social media, as I said, is changing the landscape of business forever. It is now real-time, relevant communities talking about whether or not to buy your shit or buy somebody else's. That is what is happening right now in real time. I'm thinking of going with this brand or that brand. Anyone got a recommendation? 50 recommendations in real time. That is power to the consumer. You are one click away from being liked or dumped. It is phenomenal, the power the consumer has right now in their press of their button with that like. And the day they get a dislike button, look out. If Facebook ever introduces that, it makes it very unforgiving. because every business makes mistakes. Every business makes mistakes, no matter how good the intent is and how wonderful the heart is. Every business owner is going to mess it up, and you're going to pay for that. But hopefully you stack enough goodwill, you stack enough value, you stack enough showing, demonstrating, and bleeding for them every single day that it overrides the mess up you're going to do. But that's the reality of what we're facing. The other thing we're facing is everybody can have an opinion about you, and some people have really low opinion of people. It just seems to be who they are and how they ride. They're looking to judge, they're looking to criticize, and Facebook and other mediums don't always bring out the best in people, but it's going to bring out something in people because people want to be heard, and Facebook and the communities like it finally give the microphone to everybody. Everybody can have their 15 minutes of fame. Does this mean it's hard work, being in business and being good at this? You betcha. Man, do we work hard at this. Mm-hmm. We have 2 people we hire, Sydney, to manage just this. 2 people, that's what they do from different places in the world, on Facebook, on Twitter, helping us out with not controlling the message. That would be really dumb and go badly. But in adding to the message, in adding value to the message, in communicating the message, in connecting with other people who love the message, in 1,000 ways every single day. These people, plus myself, the owner of the company who's not in the business anymore, plus the people who are in the business. My entire team, our entire team is on Facebook every single day during work hours and is encouraged. Can you believe that?
That's so smart. I love it.
I know. I don't know about you, but how many companies do you know have banned Facebook from the office during the day?
Well, some of them do have to because there's employees are more likely to get them into trouble than anything else. So it has to be. I would imagine that you do have to have that culture set up where everybody understands what they're supposed to be doing on Facebook.
And doesn't that raise a whole bunch of questions, which we're about to look at?
Great.
But the reality is, this is where we're at today, and if you're not clear on it yet, you're going to need to be in the next 5 years. You don't even have that long. Everybody in your company, from the administrator and the bookkeeper through to the CEO, and don't even think about the salespeople, but every single person in your company now is contributing to the voice about what your company is. And I said before, your logo is not your brand, your culture is your brand. What you stand for is your brand. So everybody in your company had better stand for the same thing. Or you're going to have, like you said, damage control because employees are doing what I actually can't even imagine that. That would just be dreadful. So imagine how hard we're working, that every single employee in our team, we've got probably worldwide now 40, 50, 60 people, full and part-time, who are part of our team and on our payroll in some form or another. And every single one of them, to be part of our mission, to be part of our team, I should say, have to be part of our mission. That's the standard we have. And, man, if you think that's easy, I don't think anyone would think that was easy. It's not. Mm-hmm. But anything less than that, I don't think is going to cut it in the business of tomorrow. I just don't think it's going to cut it. So we work really hard than ever before to not only add value, but to make sure it's not just, there's no job title say add value person. Everybody in the company has a mandate that if you're part of our team, you add value. And you're part of the mission, and you talk about the mission. You're excited by the mission. You're on the same page as when it comes to the mission. I don't know many companies that are like that. I just know the companies that do that seem to grow, seem to have an amazing following of people who aren't just buying stuff from them, but we have people who are passionate about our mission. They're passionate about our brand. They're passionate about what we do. They post on Facebook with us every single day. We would have literally 500, 600 comments a day on some of our private groups that we manage from our members, commenting, contributing, asking, sharing, and our entire team is on Facebook all day, maybe 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 times a day, commenting, interacting, guiding, facilitating, assisting, adding value where they can, hooking them up in real time. And so there's no customer service anymore in the company. It's, I want something, I'll just post it on Facebook. So we've got to answer really fast because we've got to look like we're, that we're onto it. It can't just be sitting there as a post that's unattended to. And then they might email us as well. So we've got to be thinking the whole time, just this tiny little detail we put effort in. So they've emailed us and then they're on Facebook, respond to the email, but then got on Facebook, hey, I sent you an email, do you want me to give you a phone call too? And I'll send you something in the mail just to make it really clear to you. So we're not just dealing with the question, we're thinking how can we wow this person every single time they come across us. So we elevate from supplier to family. We want to elevate from transaction with us, buy some stuff. Really? That's the goal? No. But we're part of their life. We're part of their day. We're part of how they think. We're part of, they do something, they post on Facebook and they tell us about it. That's what we elevate everything we do to. And God, we love it. But can you imagine the work involved in doing this?
Yeah.
And I just don't know how any other business can do it without caring this much about your community. You just got to care so much, Cindy.
I can see that. So it would have to be really deeply ingrained in everyone in the whole team that whatever you're doing, you've just got to make sure that the customers are looked after or the clients. Because as I understand your business, you've got a lot of people that come in to have success in their own lives and in their own businesses. And so you're sort of there for them as a support team. Is that right? You're there to make sure that happens?
Well, our job, what they pay for, is to get accreditation as a life coach or as an executive coach, or because they're a small business owner and they want help with their business. That's a transaction. But we are not there for the transaction. We'll do the transaction. That's a given because that's what they paid for. What this class is about and what our business is about is everything that we do beyond that. There is an expectation if you spend 20 grand, you're going to get insert list of things here. Fine. But it's everything above that. It's where it's really happening. The landscape of business is changing forever because the transaction is no longer enough.
Yes.
What do you do once you've had the transaction? So, to be really crude, you got the money. What do you now do? Do you just deliver what you're required to and get put in the same basket as a bank? That's it. They're just doing what they have to do. There's transactions every single day, and how do we feel about it right now? How does the world feel about that?
Yeah,
it's not pretty. So
I've been dealing with a lot of companies technically lately, with softwares and stuff that don't have any contact information. You just can't get hold of them, and you have to buy the product before you can even get onto customer support. And
it's rude.
It's all too hard.
It's rude. It's just rude. You've got to have your contact details. If you're not prepared to put a phone number there, I don't think you're showing that you care about your clients. And you can say all day, but I really care. But what you're really saying is, don't call me. I don't care that much. So no, that's not cool. Where was I? Yeah. So everything above the transaction, I believe, is what really matters. Everything above that, and how you do that, and how you do it consistently. So you can't just have a stab at it. Facebook, for example, you can't just have a stab and see what happens. You have to earn their trust to get them believing that you're going to be there for the long haul with them and going to keep commenting and exchanging ideas. It's not enough to slap up a Facebook page and go, how do we get some friends there? Or fans, how do we drive some fans? That is not what's going on. That's not the conversation the community wants to have. They are assessing. They might not even know it consciously, but the world is assessing all the time. Are you going to add value to my experience in my life, or do you just want my money? And if you're going to add value to my experience in my life, will you keep doing it once you've got my money? Or will you keep doing it if you never get my money? And so what we care about and work really hard to do, and again, not always successfully, but our intent, our meetings, our conversations, and our actions are all about how do we communicate that we're going to care about you even if there is no, inverted commas, transaction, that we care about the mission more than we care about the money. And that elevates the company, and that causes you to get really amazing people on your team. And it means that you start driving some stuff that you never dreamt you'd do. We run free events all the time just to give back to our community. Because if our mission is to make money, we wouldn't do a free event. But if our mission is to provide great value and is to add value to the experience and lives of our clients and our prospects, so this is a free event for everybody. If our mission truly is to enhance people's lives and to help create extraordinary lives, which it is, then we would definitely run free events. We would definitely do free classes. We would definitely go the extra mile for people, even if they're not doing a transaction with us. Does this take a lot of work? Yes, it does. But I don't know. It's just what gets me up in the morning is not going to be the next $1 million, that's for sure. What gets me up in the morning is how many people can we sign on to the mission, either as a paid client or as someone who just loves the mission, contributes to it, and makes the world a bigger place. I'm smiling when I say that because that sounds way better than just, what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So in this presentation, Cindy, we're just going to look really closely at how we create raving fans and communities of people who really work hard for us, and also our methodology for relationship-based marketing. So we call it value-based or relationship-based marketing, which is how we do business. And so the marketing isn't to get a client. The marketing is to build a relationship. Relationships before business, relationships after business. And that means we will know people forever who perhaps will never transact with us, but will love us, love what we do, love how we do it, and maybe, wouldn't it be cool if they recommended us to somebody, which they do. But that, again, isn't the point of it. It's the relationship is what matters. And if we have amazing, phenomenal, outstanding relationships with people all around the world, we are creating a movement. And that's our intent. So I'm going to talk with you about how we do that. And feel free to ask questions and challenge it, because I think I sometimes take a lot of it for granted. It's just how we do business. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and you do it very, very well. And I think that we all aspire to doing it this well. Like I think a lot of us in our businesses, we think we're doing it and we want to do it, but it's how you execute it that I really love, and that you're so generous about sharing it. So go for it. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's talk about generosity. I don't know how it happened, but I'm really fortunate in that I stumbled upon this generosity thing really early in my career, and I didn't even know what I was dealing with. I didn't understand its power, its impact. I didn't get... I just had done it so hard for so long that when someone asked me a question or wanted something from me that could help them, I was so incredibly grateful that they were asking me. I just got really generous with them. So when I first started and had no clients, that kind of bothered me, but what bothered me would have bothered me more if no one asked for my help. So I had a lot of pro bono clients in my first year. But this is the beautiful thing. It gave me a realization that it feels really good to give. It feels amazing. And that, if I could, would I do this for free? Absolutely. And I did in my first year. I really did. It got every minute of my time and basically barely any money. But I learned really early. I don't know why, I don't know what clicked, but being generous feels great. And so I just committed, you know what, this feels so great. I've been trying so hard to get what I want for so long and failed. I'm going to do it completely differently. I've done a decade of trying to get. I'm going to spend a decade just giving and see what happens. And so somehow it just became this philosophy of giving and being generous with people around me. And as a result of it, other people who loved being generous thought, wow, I really like this world we're creating where we get to be generous and give. Can I be part of it too? And by the second year, it was turning into business. So I did 25,000 turnover in my first year. Felt great, but hungry. Second year, did $250,000, pretty well inexperienced, but starting to learn what experiences people wanted, which is incredibly valuable. And my third year was over $1 million, and that was all from zero, and literally from zero with no assistance. It was just me just trying to crack the code on this generosity thing. What is it about it that's so appealing? Why does it feel so good? Significance and a whole bunch of other reasons. But it just became this whole dialogue in me about, well, how far can you take this? And 9 years later and heading for our 10th year, we're still taking it further and further and pushing the boundaries on what we'll give away, because this philosophy of generosity is a wonderful way to do business. You don't. And I'll talk about the hoarding thing. People say the argument to that, I get a lot, is if I give away really good stuff, then what will people pay for? That is really flawed thinking, Sydney. It is really flawed. My attitude, and the attitude that seems to have worked, and millions and millions of dollars turnover a year, the company's growing masses this year. We're going to probably end around 13, 15 million turnover, and I do around 4 hours in my business a week to do that. So it's not done on 18 hours a day and it's got my blood. It's not like that. So it works. It really works. And the approach of if I hoard it because people, if they get it for free, won't, then what will they pay for, is actually really flawed thinking. The thinking is this, and I didn't know it when I started. I just loved the giving, but now I understand a bit more of the science behind it and the way we think. That if you're really generous with what you give away, the dialogue goes like this with your potential client. Wow, if they're giving this away, I wonder what will happen if I pay. If this is what they're giving for free, and then they get to assess what you're giving away, they get to assess you to see and decide for themselves if you are going to be a trusted advisor, if you're the real deal, if you're, inverted commas, authentic. So by giving people an opportunity to get to know how you ride before they pay, I believe they're making a way more informed decision when they make the decision to invest in whatever your journey is, be it shoes or coaching programs. It makes no difference. We want to make an informed choice that feels good and adds value to our lives. Well, what better way to do that than to have your potential client get to know you so they can make that informed decision rather than feeling like it's a punt. And the third wonderful thing about generosity versus hoarding, in them making their informed decision, they come to know you and they get to decide, do they like how you ride? So it's not just a decision about buying the thing, it's making a decision, yeah, I want to be part of how they do it. How they do it is how I do it. And the benefit of that is they stick around for a lot longer and become a much bigger fan of your community than if it was just a transaction, because they dig how you ride and they ride the same way and they're inspired by it. So you get to share the journey and the story together. So this flawed thinking of, I got to hoard it and people got to pay for it to get it, which sometimes we stumble across, and we'll never do business with people who do that because their thinking is stopping the mission. They're just thinking, you've got to pay me money. So they've got a banker's mentality that the whole transaction's got to happen for any value. Well, not even value. The transaction is the point, and that is the lowest level of thinking there is in business. The point can't just be the transaction. Now, that doesn't mean to say I don't love making money. If I'm going to work, I want to get really well paid for it. I don't want anyone hearing this thinking, oh, man, so it's easy for her to say she's making money so she can be on the mission. The mission has been there before the money. I just knew that I didn't want to go into a business where it was going to be all about me getting. That didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a life well lived. I wanted to have a great life. I wanted to look back and think, wow, this really counted. It mattered. It had meaning. It had purpose. I want to sit there rocking on my beach house balcony with no teeth with my husband going, man, that was a good life, wasn't it, love? I want all that. And so I'm just thinking all the time now, well, how do you have that if you don't make some decisions now that are based more than just getting the cash? So, Sydney, I'll pause in case you want to say something.
No, I think that, it's really important that we cover exactly the mindset that goes into running a business that had that kind of growth, where you went from nothing to, sustainable and exponential growth, because you really need to have your entire community on board with you to keep growing a business like that, don't you? You have to get the foundations right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody's on a mission alone. There is nobody in the world who can do, like, the Olympian has a team. Anybody who's strived for greatness, just think about the team of support and the decades of effort and the sacrifice and the commitment and the community that are behind them. There is no overnight success. There are just tons of overnight failures. People who quit too early because they thought it was about getting something. And that's just got to be forward thinking. And the first thing that comes is for us to have a team who's on Facebook every day and using it in an appropriate way, so all the time just serving. To have a team that's just part of the mission, to have thousands of people who have graduated and still stick around and come back and crew for free and volunteer to help out, and who just, contributing all the time and sending us referrals and just loving what we do. The first place to start is culture. Who you are as an organization, what you stand for, is going to shape whether or not anything we're talking about in this conversation is going to happen. So we are a very strong values-based company. These are our 10 values. I need to thank in the creation of this company, and what I'm talking to you, I have to thank people. So obviously Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Hsieh and other people who have led the way in terms of culture being king. And culture is first. So these are our 10 values. And the first value, let outstanding results do the talking. Pretty well everything comes around that. So whatever we do, we don't do it for convenience or because it's easier or because, that'll feel good to do that. That's not enough. It's also got to lead to a result. And the result isn't necessarily money, but it needs to lead to an outcome that we've all agreed we're here to accomplish, be it to drive the mission or achieve the mission or donate money or achieve a certain number of client enrollments. Whatever it is, it's got to be outcome focused. And we require every single one of our teams simply must bring, naturally, passion and determination. It is really tough. It is really tough doing business if you've got people on your team who drag the energy down. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, and I've actually taken it even further than that. I've put together whole teams of people that just can't get a job done.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
We do have to be careful that we don't put together a team of people that we like as opposed to people that we need. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely don't need to like all my team, but, man, they better bring passion and determination because I don't expect to have to be a match personality-wise to everybody, but we've got to be a match values-wise. We actually hire on the values, Sydney, so our interviews are quite lengthy and tough, and some of them take weeks. We've been interviewing one guy in Sydney who's trialing with us, I think, next week, and it was 3 weeks of setting tasks for him to do to see if he's going to bring the culture match that we must hire on. Mm-hmm. We do recruitment games that test their culture, their values. We ask questions that test their values. 80% of the interview process is on values elicitation and making sure they're a match for this. You'd be interested to know that number 5, create fun, a little bit of quirk. Some people find that really challenging. Mm-hmm. They just seriously don't see work as fun. And anybody who sees coming to work as just a job doesn't even get past the phone call. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a calling. So there's 3 levels to hiring. There's people who want a job, people who want a career, so see it as a stepping stone for their career, and people who want a calling, who want to be part of something that matters and has meaning. And you've got to hire people who are on a calling. And it's really tough to do because that's not the mindset, especially in Australia. I don't know if you agree with this, but there can be a mindset of, oh, I've got to go to work, or thank God it's Friday, or Wednesday's hump day, or weekend's done, got to get back to work. An attitude of begrudging, I've got to go do my job.
Yeah, I noticed when I came over here from America, I actually, worked for about 8 years in the States before I came to Sydney, and I really noticed when I started opening my own businesses, because I had quite people-centric businesses. I had restaurants when I first started as an entrepreneur, and I really noticed how hard it was to get the staff who cared, who really cared about the business, and I was a big difference for me from working in LA where it was really, really competitive to get a job, and people knew that if they didn't do a great job, that there was always somebody to take their place. We don't seem to have that same kind of mindset here.
No.
We don't have the pool of employees to choose from. So I think one of the things that I learned from you, when we did our last interview, was how much effort you put in to putting the right people in your organization. And I'm really glad that you're taking that to this deeper level and explaining it to us, because I think that's where a lot of us go wrong with it, is we don't put that, again, foundation in place.
Well, if you don't have the foundation, it's going to be you're the only person you're going to trust on Facebook. If you don't have a phenomenal team, I'm on Facebook, but many days I'm just leaving my team to it, and I completely trust that they're going to rock it, and they're going to be on mission and on message and excited and loving it. But if you're not hiring the people who can bring that, it's really hard work, because you can spend your life checking up on what they're doing. And like I said, we've got thousands of members on private groups right now. I'm not going to put a monitoring system in place to watch and guard them. That would be really icky. So, and the other thing, the flip side to these values is, yes, hire on values, but man, if you're hiring on these values, they better enter a company where these values are being lived. So the incongruence would be to hire somebody outstanding on these values and then have them arrive and people not be on this mission. So we're in a situation right now where one of our teams has 2 people on it that are not as values driven as they need to be and we want them to be. And we're hiring people who just love what we do and they're raving fans and they're part of the mission. And we've made it really clear to them, you're coming to a team to change the level and the standards in this team, not to settle for the standards. And if you settle for the standards, you'll go. You have got to rise. You've got to raise the standards. The unwritten ground rule around here, we call it UGRs, the unwritten ground rule, how we do business around here, is that everybody must bring the next level to the company and can never settle for the level we're at. So we're constantly, and we have also, the other unwritten ground rule is we have a no hierarchy on feedback and no hierarchy on what needs to be said. There's no hierarchy. The feedback can go up, across, down. Newbies can say it to oldies. There is no rules on who can give feedback, when, and to whom. And this is really encouraged by many people in the company. We have 10 leaders in the company who are driving this culture every single day. And they're committed to it, and they fight for it, and they're saying it. And they'll walk up to somebody new and say, so where have you rocked the boat today? Because we don't believe in the status quo, bring out-of-the-box thinking. Where are you shaking things up? Where are you seeing that we need to improve? And they get asked that question every single day so that they're reminded they didn't get hired to fit in. They got hired to raise the standard. And the other thing around hiring is get people, if you really want to be great in how you're perceived by your community, which is what social media is, it's perception, then when you hire them, make sure they understand that they don't have to settle for what went yesterday in the pursuit of how we'll do things today. I am not interested in hiring anybody who is here to find out how we do things around here. I want to find somebody who's saying, well, maybe we can do it better. So our hiring process is really tough for the person if they find any of this a challenge, but is a real delight for anybody who's been craving a meaningful calling for what they do every single day. And we're passionate about it. We don't always get it right. We really don't. But when you do, God, it's just fantastic because you can just say, go have at it. You've got the right values. You're going to show really great judgment because you're living these values. And now we've got an entire community of people all around the world on Facebook, on Twitter, on other social mediums, spreading the word in a way that we know is culturally aligned with our mission.
Beautiful.
So none of them are saying, oh, I better do Twitter today. It's, I'm on a mission. People need to know about this. So it's hard work in the beginning, but man, life gets easier when you've got an army of people out there all beating the same drum passionately and not because they got to for a paycheck. Again, the paycheck, that transaction, I'll do X hours for X pay, that transaction, that's not going to cut it. And I'm really blunt about that, Sydney. If, I'll literally say to somebody, not that often, but let the rumors ensue. But I will say occasionally, if you're just doing this for the pay, you should go home now, because that ain't going to cut it. You need to feel what you're doing. You've got to care that much that you've got to know this matters and the standard matters, or you should not be in a role in this company. And nobody's walked out so far, but I imagine the day will come when someone say, yeah, you're right, I'm just doing it for the pay. Okay, you should go. And I'd rather, well, I'd rather have the inconvenience of that transaction not taking place than the pain of having people not communicating our mission, because everybody's got to pick up the slack.
Yeah,
so
I noticed the other day. I noticed the other day on Facebook somebody was she just posted a random message saying, does anybody know anything about the Coaching Institute? I'm thinking about taking a course there. And of course I posted good things, and then these other people came on and said, they were all, barracking and saying how great the experiences were that they'd had. So this is the way social media is now, and that's where you start to really see the payoff in running the business the way you have, in that, you've got a whole army of strangers out there who are willing to come onto a public forum and back you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Wonderful, and it's such a privilege, and I can tell you every single day I get up thinking, I've got to earn that all over again. It's something you just can't take for granted. It is, you can't take for granted seriously just in terms of doing good business, but if you're very practical about it and pragmatic, You can't take it for granted because you're from scratch every single day in the world on Facebook. You're back to zero. So you're only as good as the next post. That's it. That's the measure. You know, if someone's having a bad day, that's it. The post could have been a bad post. So we're only as good as our next post. We're only as good as our next Twitter feed. We're only as good as our next hash. That's it. We're just constantly thinking in terms of, okay, how are we going to wow our community today? And that's value number 3. I'm not going to go through all the values, but the conversation's lending itself to our values. So if we're not wowing, we're dying. We have wow boxes at the back of our training room so people can write in messages about how they got wowed by our crew. We have wow gifts that we send to our community. We have wow cards. We're getting wow T-shirts. I'm writing a book called The Wow Factor. Everything's got to be about how you're wowing your community. And the natural extension of that is when you're using your if you use the social mediums this way in terms of how you wow instead of what you get, you're really getting what it means to do great business. Social media is not the paycheck. We make a ton of money. There is no question about it. But it's not because of social media. And it's not because we're on social media. It's just not the transaction. It is happening because of how we are, how we do things, how we ride, and that is naturally extended in everything we do, and that happens to include social media. So if anyone's thinking of getting onto the web, onto Facebook or blogging or any of the other versions of Web 2.0, don't be thinking, oh, I hope this makes me some money. How do I monetize this? That is not our conversation ever. We have never had a conversation saying, how do you monetize Facebook? That would be really icky. The conversation is, how do we wow them so we're worthy of them turning up to us every single day, posting messages, liking our stuff, and taking the time to hang out. We see it as our home. Facebook, Twitter, blogs, the emails we send to our clients, all of those communications, to me, is us saying, hey, you're invited into our home, and we better be really good hosts. And if we're really good hosts and we delight them when we wow them, then I really hope they'll turn up again. Wouldn't that be great if they did and brought some of their friends? The transaction, the money, happens inevitably if they like how we do things and a whole bunch of other things we're doing that I'm discussing. But I'm not opening my home to make money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How am I doing here with the philosophy of it?
It's brilliant, and I wish that we could talk about it all day because you really understand this at a deep level, and every time I talk to you, I learn so much more about this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I think we don't get many people explaining to us that deeper level how you build these community relationships and do it well, and what your goal is.
Yeah, I hear a lot of tactics. I hear lots of ways to drive fans and get lots of likes, and I'm just not into that. I really do see it as when someone turns up to our office, they are welcome into our home. So surely if someone turns up to our Facebook page, they're in our home. It just happens to be virtual. I don't see any difference. So we have we have secret pages for our clients, and one of them is for our members. So it doesn't matter what program they're doing with us, they're welcome to be a member here, and we have thousands there. It's wonderful. And every time someone is joined to that community, they get welcomed with a personal message. Every single person gets a personal message because we're just thinking they've come into our home. Mm-hmm. And when someone arrives at a party, you don't ignore them.
Yeah. Like it's amazing to me how many people, it's amazing to me how many people, want to be my Facebook friend, but they don't tell me who they are or make any kind of, I have no idea who some of these people are. They just try and friend you. And it's also very noticeable when somebody is rude on your Facebook. That's when I think you really notice it. And as you said, if you put that into that same sort of context, if you said, would you talk to me like this in my home? Then I think people would understand why it's not acceptable to talk to other people on Facebook the way they do. It doesn't happen often in my circle, but I had to defriend somebody recently because they were just attacking everyone that was having a conversation, on a post. And I kind of went, what, this is...
One,
yeah, go ahead.
It's just amazing. Well, the funny one is when they turn up on my page and think they can put their advertising stuff.
Yeah,
it's
I get that.
coming into my home and putting up a banner advertising the restaurant down the road. It's just really weird.
Yeah, but that's what they've been taught to do, I think. I think some people, they think it's like, it's where you plaster your billboard, you know, your poster up on the, so.
Stop it. If anyone's doing it and listening to this, don't do that. Stop it. You're a guest in their home. You've been invited and accepted as their guest. You treat it with respect. You contribute to the conversation. You take time to post. I personally visit my members' pages on Facebook and comment or click a like or send them a personal message. I personally respond to PMs, personal messages, and you've no idea how many I get. Sometimes I do need some help if it's a message from a non-client, but I'm making an effort every single day going and messaging and posting and being part of their communities. And, man, there are a lot of things I could be doing with my time, but we've connected, so make the effort. And so I hope it's helped us talking about the values. So these values are up on banners at our events. They're everywhere you go. They're part of the book we're writing. They're how we approach everything we do. And that is how everybody is measured in the company. The KPIs are there, sure, but first and foremost, every performance review every 90 days, this is the first hour of conversation. It's how are they the embodiment of the values or where they need to improve, or is it too much of a stretch to improve, so you probably need to think about moving on? Because we're not hiring people who like our values, we're hiring people who live our values. And we want our members, our clients, our students, our participants to feel the same way. And if we're a values match, then we're going to find it very easy to hang out through social media. So the next thing I want to look at is the principles of business success, which I know I've spoken about with you previously, but I think is so important about how to approach social media and our responsibilities in it in terms of how we do business. So the first rule of business is to provide value. So what you're doing on Facebook is not trying to get a client or make some money, is to add value. And it's not to complain or to air your grievances or to rant or to knock someone or a body of people, which I see people doing amazingly regularly. Mm-hmm. It is not to criticize or to make yourself look like you've got the high road going on something, but it's to provide value. So on my personal page, I might post a really cool quote. What did I do today? I asked the question, you know, what's a happy life? And people have started posting today their answer to that question. Or I'll share a photo of some members and I and what we're up to. On our official fan page, we'll be sharing photos or quotes or success stories and getting conversations going. And at no stage do we ever, nor have we ever, will we ever ask for business. We might put a link there for a free class or a link there for some free stuff for them. We're not seeing it as the place where business is done. It's the place where relationships are built. If people go into our private members, if they're a member, they get to join these private clubs that we have going on Facebook, and it's all about the value. And we have really strict rules about that nobody is allowed to post anything they want to sell. They can't post links to what they're selling. They can't self-advertise, self-promote. We're really strict about it. We actually have people, you know, that's their role around the world, is we have these responses that we private message them, we PM them, saying these are the rules. We have a code of conduct for all these groups. Everyone's agreed to it when they join. And that it just creates a really safe haven for everybody knowing. And the posts are removed, by the way. If anyone posts something that's self-publicizing or is, you can definitely brag. God, brag away. It's a place to share a success. But, you know, click here if you want to attend my class. Nobody can do that because have you ever been in a group where that's allowed and it's just almost every single post is just advertising? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, it is very annoying, and people become detached because they don't want to just get on a post where there's, you know, a page where everybody's just pushing something.
No. Yeah, and it just feels like advertising, and it becomes really, it's just, where's the TV show? You know, it's 7 minutes of TV show and it's 3 minutes of ads, but it just feels like it's 100% ads. So that's tiring. So we're just so respectful about how we do it because of business rule number one, which is we must provide value. To be relevant, we have to be useful to our consumers, be they free or paid. And rule number two, principle number two, be incredibly generous. Give away the cool stuff and take on my philosophy earlier. It's people don't have to pay for your cool stuff. They need to know how you ride. They need to be able to connect with you and see how you do things. And I know you just seem to attract really great people if you've got that attitude, because you tend to attract people who are also really generous, which makes it really easy to do things. And the other principle of business is never be one of the pack. So if the business community is zigging, you should be zagging. Generally, the majority of people do the least effort things to do. So mediocrity is the majority, and given that the majority is doing mediocrity, you should definitely not do that. So everything I've been speaking about is how to zig when the market's zagging. You need to switch away from an attitude of get, and it's got to become an attitude of gratitude. You've got to switch away from an attitude of hoarding until they pay, an attitude of giving it so they see how you're cool. All of that is just doing what is maybe counterintuitive and not how we've been raised when we've been an employee. But it's absolutely the key to great business is to never be the pack. And the next part of it is be uncompromising. You know, we are generous. We do provide value. We do give things away, but it doesn't mean to say we're getting walked over. That's not the equation that's going on. Be uncompromising about your values, uncompromising about who you want to do business with, be uncompromising about what you have an expectation in terms of standards for everybody, and the ethics and all of that is just, there are non-negotiables around standards, expectations, values, how we do business. We never discount. We have never, ever discounted in the history of the school, and we always say the same thing. When you come into the room, you'll be sitting with other participants. I would never want you to be sitting next to somebody who paid less than you did because they were a better negotiator than you. No one gets a discount, so everybody knows you're on the same, even level when you walk into the room. And we've never had an issue with it. These are just uncompromising standards by which we conduct our business. And the last one, which is, I guess, what I've kind of been talking about, and we'll be talking about that more, is be Disneyland. And that's what we started, last year we started noticing we're being called Disneyland by a lot of our clients. Where are you going today? Oh, I'm heading off to Disneyland. Oh, fantastic. Say hello to everybody there for me. You want to cultivate a culture where every single day, everybody wants to turn up just to see what's going to happen next. You know, I'm really bright-eyed when I'm saying this, Sydney, because it's the coolest thing. You know, you get messages on Facebook or wherever, or an email, or where, you know, today's news, there's a blog, and it'll say things like, went into the Coaching Institute today, man, had the coolest experience, somebody gave me a flower, or went in and dropped off flowers, say the Coaching Institute, and had some champagne while I hung around. Or you want to create an environment where it's your home, and it's fun, and there's something going on, and you don't know what to expect next. Who did I learn this from? I think it was the Zappos guy, and a couple of other people I've been looking at recently. But I completely agree that you want it not just for your team. You know, we want it so the team never doesn't know what's going to happen today. So there's this sense of expectation about it. We also hire people who make it really fun to turn up every day. So it's almost self-perpetuating. But we're doing the same for our clients and our prospects. You know, what are they going to do today? What's going to happen today? And I'll give you some examples of that as the class continues. But the whole thing, if you're approaching it like you're here to entertain, provide value, be of interest, and be relevant, you're going to have a bigger following than the person, the business owner is thinking, okay, how do I get money?
Yeah. And it sounds like it'd be a lot more fun, too.
I know. It's just, I say those, it's just such an obvious contrast. So here I am, I've got 8 hours to make some money. Here I am, I've got 8 hours to live these values and these principles. What a difference. Yeah. And I've done both, so I'll just go quickly through this one because I think we've pretty well covered it, that everything needs to add value, increase desire, build trust, and build a sense of anticipation. And so what I want to do now is actually get into, so that's all been mindset, if that's okay. Now what I want to get into is how we do that. Is that cool?
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, am I talking too much, hon?
No, I'm just worried we're going to run out of time because I know you've just.
I know. I just looked at the time then. Okay, here we go. So how we do it? Firstly, really strong niche. Generalists do okay, but specialists are in demand and are sought after and have queues of people. So I'm just going to look at that, how we do that. These are the questions in our market that we ask ourselves. I appreciate it might not be relevant to everybody, but this is how we do business.
And before you get into this really deeply, I just want to impress on people, anybody who's listening right now, and might have sort of gone off to do something else, or like as life gets in the way, I know, but this is really key. What Sharon's about to teach you now has made a massive difference for me in my business, and also for a lot of my clients. So I help a lot of experts get their books written, and you really helped me have a huge breakthrough with this. And I know lots of people talk about niching or niching, but you made me realize how crucial it is to being a successful business. So I just wanted to set that expectation before you go any further. So pay attention.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful. So the way we teach it and the way we ride with this is, yeah, you're right. There are the people who have breakthroughs when they get this, and there are people who ignore it at their peril. That's what I find. So I agree with what you said. Need to pay attention to it, but you also need to get very real about it. It's not enough just to hear what I say. You've got to apply these standards to your own business and answer the questions, maybe even harshly, to face the reality of, do you meet the standards we're about to talk about? So the standards are: does it lend itself to a seminar or a speech? Would it suit itself to being a non-fiction bestseller? Does it suit recurring sales and upsells? That's very important too, so that's part of it. Does it lend itself to recurring sustainable business? Is it an area where people are eyes are alight and passion? Is it an area where people go, wow, yeah, I need to get onto that? It's got to be an area that either lights people up or fills people with fear if they don't get on top of it. So for example, in terms of cures. So when it comes to niching, you don't want to be the prevention, you want to be the cure. So what sells worse is prevention. So how to prevent experiencing stress doesn't sell that well. You want to sell to the person who's experiencing the stress and give them a cure. And I'm using that as an example. It's not what we do. Cures sell way better than preventions. And the other thing to know is too many people, when they go into business or they're in business, wonder why they're struggling, because they're hoping that what they've got will be bought. They've got the whole movie attitude, Robert Redford thing going, if you build it, they will come. And that's just simply not necessarily true. What you need is a starving, passionate crowd who will spend lots of money over and over again. They'll keep coming back. They've got to congregate so you can reach them. And they've got to really dig you, and you've got to really dig them. That's the requirement. So single mums is not a niche. They don't congregate. They don't necessarily spend a lot of money, and they all have very different problems. Ideally, in a niche, you want one problem with one solution. Even better, it's one problem with one solution they'll spend money on, and it's one problem with one solution they can't get for free. This is me just being really pragmatic about how to do business. Because if they can get it for free, why would they pay for it? If they can get everything, if they can solve the problem just by reading a chapter of a book, they don't need to come and do your thing. It's got to be that and the other thing around niche is you've got to offer them, and this is so key, what they want and not what they need. This is what I see happening with the majority. More than 50% of businesses that we assist start out by selling what they say people need. So for example, they'll get very excited, I'll make it up, accountants really need mindset training. Lawyers really need mindset training. Yes, I agree, they do. But that's not what they want. So stop trying to sell them what they need, sell them what they want. What you do is once they're part of your thing, your stuff, your program, whatever it is, your vehicle for transformation, whatever that is, when they're in, you can give them what they need. You better give them what they want because that's what they've paid for. But you can go above and beyond and give them what they need. So we've got hundreds of members in our mastermind program, $20,000 to $30,000 a head. What they want is help with building their business, marketing tools, sales strategies, leadership strategies. They want facts. What do they need? They need to shift their thinking. 100% of the time, shift their thinking. Would they pay $20,000 to $30,000 just for a mindset shift? No, because it's not what they think they want, and they don't recognize the need. But I get them in the program, give them everything they want in terms of marketing, niching, sales, leadership, business models, upsells, cross-sells, internet marketing, social, all of it. But then what am I doing on top of that? Bonus content is everything they need. So what you want to do is come up with whatever you offer in terms of being matched. It needs to fulfill all their desires in terms of what they want, in terms of what they fear, in terms of what they're frustrated by, in terms of what they secretly desire, and in terms of what they say they desire. You've got to do all of that. And then you've also got to make sure you give them what they need. And that's when you start wowing people. Because you'll hear over and again, man, I didn't even know I needed that. It's like you're reading my mind. Wow, I really needed that. I didn't even know it. Thank you. When you can look like you're anticipating where they need to go next, they're staying. If you just give them what they want, what you're giving them is within the realms of their perspective. You're giving them what they already have decided they want to get. So all you're doing is meeting their transactional needs. You've just done the exchange of money for a solution. Yay! Not cutting it. Everything above and beyond that is where you need to put your focus. What is it they need? What is it they're really afraid of? What is it they fear? What is it that keeps them awake at night? What do they worry about? What do they secretly desire? What do they secretly hope will never happen? And you're just going to work your bun off making sure you deliver all of that. And it's got to be the stuff you think of, not necessarily just the stuff they tell you about, because many, many clients will never admit to their deepest fears. Most people's deepest fears are the following. I fear not belonging. I fear not being significant, and I fear getting it wrong. My deepest fear for most people is to not count and not matter. So whatever you have, if in it you can build a recognition that they matter and that they're significant, you will do much better in business than if you ignore that conversation that's going on. Now I'll go a little deeper if I may. I know this is pretty advanced, but this is it. This is
good stuff, though. This is very good stuff.
Okay, thank you. So we're not having conversations with anybody about when they're thinking of joining us. We're not having these conversations. We're not saying we know you're deep. We're not clunky. We're not saying we know your deepest fear is that you're not enough. We're not saying we know your deepest desire is that you matter beyond all measure. We're not saying that. It is a quiet, silent, secret, unspoken conversation that we recognize, we honor, and we deliver on once they've joined. Because the flip side to your client, your prospect's deeper desire to be enough and the deepest fear is what if I'm not, is they never want anybody to know that's going on. It has to remain silent. Now, I can tell you now, nearly everybody on the planet has the same fear, just nobody's saying it. Recognizing it is one thing. What you do about it is everything. So you don't get clunky and say, yeah, I know your deepest desires to matter. You just don't do that unless you're in a spiritual niche, perhaps. What you do is you meet what's called their surface desires, what it is they admit to and are okay and comfortable and safe and secure saying they want. For us, it's accreditation, face-to-face training, access to mentors and support, constant feedback, lots of support, lots of days, lots of support, lots of flexible classes when and where they want, and the confidence to know that we're award-winning and highly accredited. There are 7 to 8 things our members will admit they want coming in. Once they're in and realize they're safe with us, we can start talking about what they really need, which is the pathway to discovery that they are enough and that they're worth it and that they count. So niching to us is not simply a well-defined segment of the marketplace where they congregate and will exchange money for a solution you've got. That's a formal definition of niche. That is where our conversation begins. It's everything after that that I've just said, Sydney, is where we spend a lot of time talking, thinking, serving, refining, because that's where the conversation really needs to be. So with this, we're not looking at all the different people who could potentially do business with us. We're not actually trying to appeal to everyone. this message sometimes blows people away when they hear it. We're not seeing a market of a whole bunch of different people. We're not seeing different wants, fears, desires. We've actually defined our market so well that we can define them as one person. And so we can define our market as one person. We call them our avatar. And our avatar is our ideal average client. This is so significant. So when we're on social media or doing emails or blogging or a newsletter or sending a letter or any of our communication, we are not, how do I say this? I want everyone to see that I really respect the person I'm talking with. I'll say it and then you can help me be understood, Sydney. But when we communicate with them, we're not communicating with, say, Jack Smith. We talk as if we're communicating to the avatar. That one embodiment of our ideal average client. And all of our efforts go into understanding and knowing our ideal average client. This one, if we could describe one client, there's the embodiment of everything we love about our clients who love everything about us. And we communicate to them as if they're that person. Mm-hmm. Now, that has a number of advantages, and it stops a number of disadvantages. The first disadvantage it stops is now because we keep communicating the same way, and as if we're speaking to this ideal average client, anybody who doesn't find that appealing should leave and not become a client. So we have very, very few people who join us, the advantage, who are not already a match because they have already shown by turning up, their appreciation for how we communicate. So they're already into it. They already identify with that communication method, so they are probably, boom, our ideal average client. If we didn't do it, if we tried to write and appeal to everybody, we'd eventually appeal to nobody because the only way to appeal to everybody is to have incredibly low standards that nobody can disagree with. If you have high standards, you've got to stand for them, and if you're going to stand for them, you should really stand for them and write it and say it and have it communicated. How am I doing with this, Sydney? Is this making sense?
Yeah, and I was actually at a authors workshop the other day with a whole bunch of people who were trying to articulate their what their books were going to be about, people who were defining what their book was going to be about. And I saw this actually happen where there was quite a large group of people and the facilitator went around each person saying, who is this book written for? And anyone who said people who, everybody in the room was able to say too broad. Because you're never going to be able to target that book to your ideal reader or, make that book really sing for the person that you're writing it for if you're trying to write it for everyone. Yeah. And, I completely agree with you. And that was one of the things that I got, out of my last interview with you was how important it is to really zero in. Because I'm really noticing this now that I'm out marketing a book. It really becomes important that people are able to understand what your message is, the broader the market that you're marketing to. If I can explain that. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you could probably explain it better than I am. But the bigger your message, the more you get out in front of large audiences of people, the less you want to be confusing them about what your message is.
Yes. You want them to be able to make an easy decision about whether or not they relate to you, can trust you, and want to do business with you.
Yeah.
So when we write our emails, we write it as if we're writing to this one person called Jackie. That's our avatar. And we know her secret fears and desires. We know her frustrations. We know what keeps her awake at night. And we write to her. And anybody who doesn't relate to that should not join us. So who does join us are people who can relate to that. So we are on message in our marketing and is congruent and consistent with what happens when they join. And that consistency means we tend to just get on with doing business and having a great time and have so many success stories, daily, every single day success stories, because they've joined us for reasons that we can serve. We deliver on it. We're a match. We should be together. So this is pretty advanced. This comes with the, I want to give attribution here to Frank Kern. This is the avatar statement. So wherever I've got brackets and done capitals, and I've done capitals, that's where you, in your business, should fill it out for you. But ours is Jackie, and I know it's not easy being, and this is for us, a 45-year-old mum and juggling a family who's trying to have a life of real meaning. And you can just read it. It's all on the screen there. Do you want me to read it out for anybody who's listening to a CD, Sydney, or is it
Sure.
fine as that?
Yeah, if you just go through it, quickly.
Yeah? Okay. Hi, Jackie. I know it's not easy being a 45-year-old mum and juggling a family who's trying to have a life of real meaning, especially when you're tied up most of the time working as a school teacher. And when you think about how you've never done anything like this before, it can seem overwhelming. So I want to just take a minute and let you know everything is going to be fine. How can I say this? Because I know how you feel. Getting to a place where you're with like-minded people contributing and growing wasn't easy for me either, and I sure had challenges of my own, just like you do now. I remember feeling trapped by the choices I'd already made and confused about how to build a life of authenticity, especially when I was so busy just getting by and taking care of what I already had in my life. So that's Jackie. That's our ideal client. That's the person we can help a lot when it comes to our certification coach training. And so my recommendation is to do this exercise for your business and for your avatar, and that's who you write to all the time. Now, I don't literally say in the emails or on blogs or Facebook, I know you're a school teacher. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people find this hard. Like we do this with our book clients. We make them get really clear on who they're writing to, and people do find it hard. But make the effort because it's crucial.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, the more successful you get, the more important it's going to be to know who your ideal clients are. Because having the wrong clients can actually end up being like the Pareto principle. You can end up spending 80% of your time trying to please the wrong clients, where you could be spending 20, like you've now gotten to the point where you're really only working a few hours a week, building a business that delights you. And that's where I think we all want to be.
And I love my clients. Who I hang with every day, these clients, they're amazing. Truly, they're just phenomenal people. But I'm kind of biased because I like that kind of person because we knew we should do business together, so the race was kind of fixed, if you like, because we got to know each other well enough. We knew that we would be great together. So that's the exercise. Then the other part of it is the 3 C's, which is content, character, and community. And I just want to touch on these. I know I've spoken about them before, and I'm pretty sure it's in the book that you invited me to contribute to, so thank you. But we call it the 3 C's of marketing: content, character, and community. People will join you for the content. So they'll join you because you sell shoes. They'll join you because you've got a great perfume. They'll join you because you've got a great program. They'll join you because they like the idea of the book. That's terrific. So they're there. But they won't stay for that. They will keep coming back if there is a character, or we'll call it brand or culture. The business has to stand for more than just the transaction. So it's got to stand for more than just the content. It's everything you do above and beyond that. And we call it character. So the character of our business is that we're playful, irreverent, highly accredited, but moving on. There are other things we care about too. We care about people. We care about the mission. And you have to get the company known as being a character beyond the transaction of the content, of the thing that you're selling. And so we look at character in terms of how do you, this is the key, and it's huge. Don't be beige. That's the first thing when it comes to being a character. Don't be boring, and don't disappear. But this is what you've got to do. The ideal character, the ideal business, and Apple has done this beautifully, Zappos is doing this, in our own little way we're doing this. You've got to be, as a character, the embodiment of what your clients aspire to become. They have to see in you and your company aspects, characteristics, values, and a mission that they don't just relate to, they wish they had. You've got to be a walking, talking example of what they crave to become. If you are your market and have all the problems they have, you are not a character, you're simply a member of the community you've created. And that's dreadful. Stop doing it. You're not valuable. To have the right to lead the community, you've got to have solved the problems that they've got. You've got to have a solution for what they've got. You've got to be able to show them how to put the solution into their life so that it works. And that solution has got to, and it better make them feel that they're a better person for it. It's called the transformational value of the transaction. So it's not enough to just sell something, which is the content. You've got to deliver something and be something and represent something to your clientele that they wish they had, aspire to have, and you inspire them. That's what character means. And the final piece of it is community. People want to belong more than anything. They crave a sense of belonging. Almost as much as they crave being significant and meaningful and having purpose in their lives, people crave to belong. So Apple, again, has done this probably one of the best ever in the history of marketing. And interestingly, they're now paying the price for that because of their unethical deals they've done to build some of their components in China. I don't really know enough about it, but they're now experiencing a backlash of community, and they're experiencing a backlash of being the character they put themselves out to be, because there's an incongruency there, that they're putting out this product or this series of products, which is content, as being all about lifestyle, yet they're getting them produced in such a way where people's lifestyles are highly compromised. So you could watch it from both directions. But let's just go back to the pure message here rather than confusing it with where it's not. Apple does it beautifully. You turn up to an Apple store and there's the Genius Bar. You arrive and someone says, hey, how you doing today? And they'll take you on a tour. You have an experience when you get to them and you feel you're plugged in. When you've had a Mac, you can never go back. How cool a saying's that? People queue for overnight or even a day to get to a new Apple store or to get the latest thing they've got. They have a community of raving fans who will buy whatever they put out simply because it is that brand, and that brand is not the symbol of an Apple. It is the brand of what it represents, the culture, the lifestyle, the experience you'll have for having an Apple. Now, I say this not being a raving fan of an Apple computer, but having every other gizmo that goes with it. And I'm part of that. Zappos has always also done it. You need to check them out. Not the Zappos shoe store, but check out the Zappos experience, where they share with you behind the scenes how they've created what they've created. And they create a community of passionate raving fans who, it's not just about the shoes, it's about the lifestyle and the experience. And their core vision is delivering happiness. They sell shoes. And it's about delivering happiness. So that's the 3 C's. And ultimately what your client really wants and what will cause people to follow you is the experience you can give them. We'll talk about goal setting. I come from a coaching background, so I should be pretty big on goals. But I'll challenge anyone to defy this. I think more than goals being set and hit, people want experiences that enrich their lives. That each day we want to have richness to our lives, meaning, purpose, value, significance, belonging. We want to experience life not as a series of goals, but as a series of experiences, that in fact our lives are made up of those experiences. For social media to work, and the way we use it, is we create experiences for our members and for our prospects. We create an environment where if you turn up, you don't know what's going to happen next. There's a sense of fun, playfulness, possibility, and to be part of it really feels special to our members, and it feels special to me. I feel really privileged to be part of it. So this is some of the things that we do. It's an example of a post that I pulled off one of our members group today. So we have people sharing on our secret pages, our private pages, their success stories. And you'll have, that's a pretty new message, but it'll end up with probably 30 comments of encouragement. We do things like flash mob days around the country, and we get all our members to join in. This had nearly 100 members came along and joined in a flash mob down at Southgate. Can you know what a flash mob is?
Yeah, that would have been great fun. Do you have to train them up?
Awesome. Yes, we did a month of rehearsals. It took 3 rehearsals.
How fun.
Yes. And our members all got to talk about it all around the country. And we posted audition videos on Facebook for them. And we did rehearsal classes. And we provided, it was fun. This is another example. This is an example of someone wanting feedback. So there's 43 people of our community have posted feedback for Sally to help her out, which is wonderful. Every month we have a theme day, and we post it on Facebook, and we get the word out there through all the different mediums to connect with our members and the community who hasn't joined us yet but is looking at us. Last month was Cowboy Western Day. We've had other theme days as well, and we post it and we talk about it and we get people involved. We're just currently up for Telstra People's Choice Awards for Victoria, and so everywhere you go on Facebook you can see our members sharing the post saying, hey, vote for this community. They're not just a coaching school to me. They've really changed my life. It means a lot to me if you could click on here and vote. So it's an example of getting the experience going. We do fundraisers. So every Christmas we have a Christmas party, and all we ask you to bring is a gift for a child. And we take it, it's literally a truck of toys we take down to the Sacred Heart Mission for all the kids there. It's already pre-wrapped if it's for a boy or for a girl and the age. And we share with our community, with thousands of members, what we're doing and the difference it's made. And we'll get photos and we'll share the photos. We contact Sacred Heart Mission Women's Group, what's it called, the Women's Community, I can't remember, the Women's House. What do you need? And we share with the members what we're buying, and we'll buy them white goods and iPads and computers and verandas and landscaping, and we share with our community. It's wonderful, Cindy. We had Rockstar Day last week, so this is the Rockstar poster that went out on Facebook. That's my team, my group of professionals. We have a bell in the house, so if somebody buys a program and becomes a member of our posse or a member of our family, we say, we've just made a friend or we've just made a family member, we get to ring a bell. And if you're in the building and you join the program, you get to ring your own bell. And you get to go around the building ringing your bell, and our community just thinks that's hilarious. We've had recording days where our team has got together and written and recorded a song in a studio as a gift. And this is from one of our members. Has a really good cause. They're involved with the Leader in Me program in a school. Her name's Georgina, and we ran a competition. Whoever could come up with the best idea for a cause for making a difference, and if we hit over 1,000 members on Facebook in this private group, I would donate, I think it was $10 per member or something. And that was a certificate of appreciation that turned up just this morning. So the timing was really good, and you can see the flowers as well that a student sent one of our consultants. So all of those ways, Cindy, are just really, can you see what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just everything's about experience. So when there's friends to be made, these are some of the literally tactics that we do. So I'll just spend the last 5 minutes on the least important part of it to me. Like, I believe everything I've set up to now is where the time needed to be spent. It's understanding, wow, it's understanding what matters to people. People don't care about buying your stuff. They didn't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to go and buy that. Well, sometimes they do, but generally it's not that. It's, for example, which restaurant will you go to? Is it the restaurant that's got the food? Is the content enough? No. You want the experience. You will choose where you go to eat based on the experience you want to have. You have to see your own business online and socially exactly the same way. People have so many choices now. They're connected worldwide to everybody in instant real time. They can make any decision they want. So you have to be the restaurant they want to experience right now today, or you're going to lose. And that's got to be all your effort. So what we do to help them is everything you've just seen. We also share real content, which I didn't know how to represent visually, but we send them classes and invite them to free classes. But we might write a blog and invite conversation. We might send an email with gifts. So I might have an attachment of a free video or a link to a class they can come to. We're on Facebook every single day sharing our message. We have newsletters sharing our passion. We invite them to free webinars all the time, and we're constantly in conversation with them, sharing with them everything I've just said for the last hour and 20 minutes. All of that we're sharing all the time. Where we've made a friend, we really then step it up. So we want the conversation in our clients' minds to be, wow, I thought they were really good before I spent some money, then I've spent some money, now it's getting really good. And it's phenomenal before we have a transaction. So we send gifts all the time. There's free classes they get invited to constantly. We run free weekend events with our top trainers. We hang out with them. We visit them socially on Facebook and connect with them. We send flowers, cards, and chocolates pretty well every single week, sometimes daily. We celebrate and commiserate with them. We have members, we're the first people they told when they got engaged. We have members, we're the first people they tell when they have a loss in their family. we literally get the phone call from the member 2 weeks ago saying my dog just died and I just had to phone you guys. And the entire office sent her flowers and we signed a card, and it really mattered to her. And we really take seriously that we are the first people our members contact about this. This really matters to them. So we have to respect it. And I hope I've done a good job of explaining how we've done that. And what unites us, this is the just about the last slide, is that we're all on a mission, that we share common values, that we're really committed to making a difference. So, you know, that when the member, Nat, phoned about her dog, that wasn't an interruption to her day. That was the point of the day. That when one of our members passed away a month and a half ago, and we're moving to a new building in September, and the building's going to be dedicated to Anton. Our members aren't interruptions, they're the point of the day, that when he passed, the entire community rallied and found ways to express what he meant to us. That, you know, when the member calls us this morning saying, I just want to thank you, I've just done a cool thing, I just worked with my first client, we have trumpets placed around the office, Sydney, and we blast the trumpets because that success is our success. It's not our job to do that. It's the reason we're there. That's the whole point of what we do. So that the worst problem you can have is that your clients stop talking to you. It's just the worst problem you can have. The best thing you can have is they're talking to you every single day, and that you're the person, you're the company, whatever, you're the brand, whatever you want to call it, that they want to tell you their good things and their bad things, their sad things and their happy things. And if they stop telling you or they're not telling you, you're doing it wrong. So that's my presentation. I realize I've probably went...
No, look, it was fantastic, and I hope nobody minded that we went a little over time, but it's just, you know, I learned so much from you every time we talk. And I think, didn't you have a special offer as well for our listeners in case they want to find out more about getting involved with your community?
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. So I was chatting with one of our amazing trainers, Alice Hameley, and she would like to extend as a gift to your listeners 2 complimentary tickets to her Create Your Extraordinary Life event, which she holds in Sydney and Melbourne. It's a 2.5-day event, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. And the tickets are $1,997 each, and we are giving away 2 tickets for free.
Wow.
All you need to do is email timetoact@thecoachinginstitute.com.au and say count me in the subject headline, and you'll get those 2 tickets, and you'll get to know us and connect with us. And in the meantime, maybe go on Facebook and hook up with us and start talking and seeing how we ride together, and this will be part of the experience.
And I know that, you know, this is being listened to all over the world. But listen, you guys should get over to Sydney and Melbourne, because if you haven't been here, it is really a beautiful
we get people
place to
flying
visit.
from all over the world to these
That's
events.
right.
Yeah, we get people from Thailand, America, England, Canada, China. We've had people from England fly in to come to our events. And if you can't come to the event, it's totally cool. Just hook up with Facebook, and we've always got some great stuff going if you like how we ride. And you can just be part of what we're doing and spread the word around the world.
And within this entire series as well, we're letting people come to, we have a page set up at socialsuperstarsecrets.com/Sharon Pearson. So you can go there and get the link if you can't remember what it is now, but it's Time to Act at thecoachinginstitute.com.au, and you send an email and in the subject say, count me in. And if you're thinking right now that you don't want to come all the way to Sydney or Melbourne, then really that's probably a mindset issue, and it just might not be the right timing. Do they have these regularly? Is this an ongoing event?
Yeah, it's ongoing, absolutely.
Great.
And really,
Great.
if you're overseas, hook up on Facebook, and you know, our school's going international in the next couple of months, and we're going to be there providing great value whether you're part of it or not. So hang out and just experience what it is that we do and join in the fun.
I can remember that when I signed up to study NLP, which was quite a few years ago, I highly recommend everyone should do some NLP training. And that's a lot of, you guys do all those practitioner trainings with the NLP and Master Practitioner. But I can remember it was a huge thing for me because I was a single mother and had a business, and I thought, how am I going to take all that time away from my children, because it involved full-time study. But you know what, I just I just set the intention, and it all worked out beautifully. And it was one of the best things because you can't be a prisoner to your own life. And, of course, NLP changed my life and improved my relationships with my children dramatically because I became a much better communicator. And I like to think a much better mother.
And I think the best investment we can ever make in our children is the investment we make in ourselves. When you're on the plane and the pilot says, grab the air face mask, help yourself first, then you can help your children. You can only give that which you have. So, and Create Your Extraordinary Life is all about NLP, the mindset, the thinking behind generosity, appreciation, that attitude of gratitude that seems to be serving us and our community so well.
Well, thank you for the incredible offer, because I know that I paid thousands to do my NLP training. So this is a wonderful opportunity. So certainly the people in Australia should get on board and, you know, take advantage of this. And I really want to thank you for offering it. And thank you again for sharing with us your secrets to success, really the secret recipe.
I really trust it serves your community, Cindy. I really do. I trust it just serves them, assists them, and shows them maybe another way or a different way or a slightly different way to tweak what they're doing so they can provide outstanding value to their posse.
And I know it's a whole different way from the way that a lot of people do operate their businesses now, but absolutely worth making the effort, because I, like you, I'm sure I've worked in organizations that haven't got this right, and, well, they're not around now, which is really sad because they were building great businesses. But if you haven't got this culture right and this foundation right, it's kind of toxic, really, in this environment. We've got an environment now where you just can't, you know, it's not a robust economy like we used to have, where you can do a shabby job and still make those sales.
Well said. And you can't fake it. With social media now, just with Facebook alone, you just can't fake it. You just can't. You're either the real deal or, no. It's out there. There's no hiding anything anymore. And if you've got something to hide, man, you need to relook how you do business. That's the thing. The transparency of social media is just so wonderful for people who like to be transparent in business. I love that.
And also I can recommend Sharon's books because she tells a great story. She makes it really entertaining. So, check them out. And where can people get your books?
They can get on Kindle, or they can contact us. And what I'll do is anybody who's overseas who's feeling that they might have missed out because they can't come to the event, if you say count me into the book, I'll do the book at 50% off for you, so you can get the hard copy or the hardcover version, or just go to Facebook and go to Amazon, and it's available on Kindle there. And make sure you leave a review. It's all about the review.
Okay, make sure you put a review on Amazon for Sharon. And
what everybody's saying about is what matters. Exactly.
So if they want the 50% off on the book, they say count me in on their email subject line.
On the book.
And count me in on the book, okay? And then that way you'll know how to work. You'll write back to them, or and let them know what to do.
Yeah, then I'll leave it to my team. We'll write back to them and get the contact details, credit card, and get it posted out to them straight away.
Wonderful. Well, Sharon, thank you so much for all your, you've given us today. And everyone, I hope you really got great value. And please let us know, how what you learned out of this, and let us know how you've applied it, because I can tell you that I've been applying a lot of what Sharon's taught me, and it's really making a difference in my business. So thank you again. Thanks. And
thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.